All right, we should be getting audio in a little while from now. The Prime Minister speaking at the Shanghai Cooperation Organisation Summit in Tianjin. The National Security Advisor Ajit Doval with him, the Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri with him as well. We briefly saw video of President Xi Jinping addressing this gathering over here. This is important, and I think India's big priority out of the SCO summit, or certainly one of them, in addition to strategic autonomy, would be to get absolutely firm, clear-cut references to terrorism. And that is directed very much in Pakistan. It comes in the context of Pahalgam. I think it was Shiv mentioning a little while earlier on that Rajnath Singh, the defense minister, did not sign on to a defense minister's agreement of the SCO earlier on because there just wasn't enough reference to Pakistan and its role in Pahalgam and its role as a central hub for terror. In fact, the entire terrorism dialogue and business needs to be looked at afresh, given the fact that you've got top American generals in the last couple of months actually talk about Pakistan's assistance to the United States when it comes to fighting the ISIS-K. That may be all very well, but India would like to see more clear, categorical references to Pakistan's own role as a state sponsor of terror.
Now, would you say that between India and China, relations have come a step further from the point, like Vishnu was mentioning, when in the address earlier, Rajnath Singh did not sign on it because there was no mention made of Pahalgam at all. But yesterday, when the bilateral happened between Modi and Xi, and this is what Vikram Misri said later in the briefing, he said that it was made very clear that action against terrorism should be a prerequisite for future relationship between the two countries. Peace at the border, the Prime Minister is believed to have conveyed to Xi Jinping, has to happen. If India and China can coexist peacefully, there has to be peace at the border, there has to be joint action against cross-border terrorism, and all issues of terrorism must be addressed. So India at least has made that absolutely clear, Shiv.
Made it absolutely clear, has not prevaricated or diverted on its stand on Taiwan at all, re-emphasized it, gotten a word in as far as the border is concerned, gotten a word in as far as terror is concerned, which is especially important, Vishnu, since what happened with Rajnath Singh when he was there for the defense ministers meet, hugely important. Even the words of Xi Jinping in that bilateral, extremely important, acknowledging the border issue, acknowledging the terror issue is what Aditya Raj Kaul also told us. We also got that from that NDTV question at the Vikram Misri briefing. And therefore, I think from the SCO itself, from the forum of the SCO itself, these key meetings, I think, are going to have a huge impact as far as India's next steps are concerned with both these countries, but also vis-a-vis the United States. I think the big question right now, we can talk about the global south. We can talk about how this troika is in many ways a kind of aligned anti-tyranny front that has formed in Tianjin. But the big question, the big gorilla in the room, one more animal I'm adding to the conversation, is what is Trump going to say? How is India going to react? Let's be very clear about one thing. We've got to be realistic about one thing. The India-US relationship is a deep and wide one. There have been frictions here. There have been breakdowns here. Many people feel that it's going to take years to rebuild trust after the very harsh things that have been said by Trump and his people. But this is a relationship that can't go away. Vishnu?
No, I don't think it's going to go away. I think it's going to be on pause until Trump goes. This is Trump's second term. He's not going to be president after this, unless, of course, he decides to be president after this, which would be quite interesting. But can I just say that, when one talks about terrorism, why is the reference from Xi particularly important? Because whose nationals are being killed in Pakistan? It's Chinese nationals. There has been protests in Balochistan on what China has been doing as far as their economic initiatives, their belt and road initiatives cutting across Pakistan, their economic corridors, and Chinese nationals have been killed. And therefore, China is a party when it comes to attacks on its nationals in Pakistan, by people who are not aligned to China at all. So that being the case, China certainly should perhaps consider a stronger statement.
And that is why in India, Vishnu, people keep talking about this grey in the relationship that we have with China, especially on the issue of terrorism. Yes, Chinese nationals are also victims of Pakistan-based terror. But at the same time, you had China blocking India's effort to try and get a UN sanction on 5 Pakistani or Pakistan-based terrorists. You also had, and we've spoken about that at length, China giving intelligence to Pakistan during Operation Sindoor. So on the one hand, you yourself are victimized by Pakistani terrorists, but yet you don't let them be sanctioned. You veto India's efforts. And that really is the gist of why India perhaps will be looking over its shoulder while we see all of this warmth.
You know, I do believe that what's going to come out of this in terms of the multilateral setup, Shiv and Padmaja, is a stronger BRICS. And that's something that really works against American interests. Donald Trump has spoken about the US dollar being threatened possibly by another currency. India has said that no, the dollar, as far as India is concerned, remains predominant as an international currency. But then, you know, when it comes to BRICS and the entire conversation around currency, it is something which might emerge once again, but certainly as an economic bloc and a grouping, and one which has a significant say in international matters, I would suggest that America would once again be wary about where BRICS stands.
And if I may just interrupt for a second, you know, if you could just talk about what kind of an impact these images will have on our domestic politics. Remember, again, we are going to head into yet another election season. Post-Operation Sindoor, we've seen a lot of talk about India's surrender. Why did we have a ceasefire again and again? As we speak today, Congress is also concluding its Vote Adhikar Yatra in Bihar. That is believed to be a yatra which will give impetus to their election campaign. So the BJP will want to milk this. You know, all of these images are being put out by the party saying SCO delivers, with Xi Jinping, Putin and Prime Minister Modi standing together. You know, the party has commented on the hug between Putin and Prime Minister Modi, saying the warmth, the friendship, because they would want to do away with the kind of rhetoric, or at least try and counter the rhetoric we've seen so far, that India right now is the weakest that we've seen in the recent past. They've attacked us. The opposition has attacked the government on its relations with China, on its relations with Pakistan, and most importantly, on his relations with Donald Trump and America.
You know, I think you're right when you say the BJP tends to milk these photo ops and things like this, especially when the Prime Minister is abroad. You know, that is the nature of politics, and the Prime Minister is the big brand ambassador, not just of the country, but also the party. But I also have to say that I think the opposition has been completely devoid of any imagination in its critique of what's happening here. And, you know, and Vishnu and I, when we were talking yesterday, we acknowledged that there is no shortage of subject matter for criticism when it comes to India's foreign policy. There are real issues to criticize. But what does the opposition, latch on to? Where is the justice for Galwan martyrs?
Where is the Galak?
Economy is dead.
Do they want India to have a war with China?
The kind of it is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. I have strong views on this, and I'm going to say it. The opposition has completely failed to trigger anyone's imagination when it comes to questioning the government as far as foreign policy is concerned. They've talked about hot button issues, hoping to play to the gallery and trigger people's emotions. People have moved on from that because I think India has made it very clear that we are not a country of war. We are not a country that initiates conflict. We are actually a country that wants a little peace. And I'm left wondering, and I'm going to get into trouble for saying this, Vishnu and Padmaja, but I, right now, sitting here in the NDTV studio, I'm actually wondering which party or which politician is going to be the first to latch on to the Brahmin comment from Pete Navarro. I think there are probably meetings going on in party headquarters right now.
You know,
who will pick it up and say, "Dekha, we told you there are caste issues
but you
in
see,
India."
here's what I, Padmaja, really.
That's how easy we are to divide.
Here's what I feel strongly about. The last several weeks, to me, have been among the strongest as far as Narendra Modi and the Indian foreign policy establishment's reactions are concerned. And what has their reaction been? It has been muted at best, because they realize that the rhetoric coming out of Navarro and Trump is not stuff they want to get into knee-jerk reactions on. So what is Modi doing? He's apparently told Trump off when Trump said that, I ended Op Sindoor. Modi apparently said, no, you did no such thing. The relationship perhaps went sour after that. India has said that America is being, there are double standards as far as what America is concerned when it comes to their own imports. But then you've kept quiet by and large. And you've gotten about the business of foreign policy by going to Japan, which is another huge strategic partner, which has problems now on tariffs with America as well, going to China, all of what is happening over here, and just getting the job done, right? It's not a tutu meme happening. All of that rhetoric is coming from America.
And it all
This is a strong time for Indian foreign policy. Why isn't the opposition talking about it?
And it's almost as if America wanted that to happen, for India to react violently, for there to be some kind of public slanging match between Donald Trump and Prime Minister Modi. And instead, you've had India going about its business, Prime Minister going to Japan, now the SCO meet in China. And, we spoke earlier of how a lot of things that are happening domestically, politically in India, are being picked up by the American establishment. And it's not just this entire Brahmin Maharaja comment. The other point that the opposition had raised again was this whole Soot Boot Ki Sarkar. Remember where America started, where they said, there are big businessmen in India who are making profits by taking oil from China. So you had that whole Soot Boot Ki Sarkar narrative. Then you went into the whole Maharaja point, and now you have quickly descended into casteism, invoking the Brahmins who are profiteering at the cost of the rest of the Indians. So it's almost a playbook. It's almost as if America is looking at how our domestic politics is playing out and saying, hey, that's a good point. Next, you will probably have them on the same platform in the Vote Adhikar Yatra, and they'll say vote chori is happening.
It is so sad. I've been a strong votary of the India-US strategic relationship 25 years ago, when we were getting around to the first stages of military exercises, with America.
Yeah.
There was so much that America was actually saying, India just doesn't trust us. We're trying so hard, this, that, the other. And slowly, through foundational agreements, they actually went to this level where you've got data sharing between American platforms and Indian platforms, extremely sophisticated American weaponry here on Indian soil, intelligence sharing on a real-time basis, incredible opportunities for American business in India. We had a defense summit. You've got Boeing in India, Lockheed Martin in India, General Electric in India, doing business in India for the American market. How does America not benefit from it?
Okay,
you've got orders of more than 100 jet engines coming in, and yet you've chosen to take all of that and throw it away.
Okay, and now we've got a political leader, Congress leader, saying for a long time India has been accusing China of its double standards and double speak on terrorism. Now Prime Minister Modi tells President Xi that India and China are both victims of terrorism. If this is not the so-called elephant capitulating before the so-called dragon, then what is? The self-proclaimed 56-inch chested leader now stands thoroughly exposed.
Who said
he
this?
betrayed national interest.
Do we know
that is what is being said by leaders of the Congress right now. And
that's a Jairam Ramesh tweet, is it?
Yeah, that's right. So that is the nature of politics we have. It's almost like Professor Swaran saying
it's a knee-jerk reaction.
It's damned if you do, damned if you don't. When you had a chill, that was capitulating before China. Now when you have some kind of thaw, that also is capitulating. But seriously speaking, when saying that both India and China are victims of terrorism, do you think that India has capitulated in saying that?
I think in that sense, okay, thank you. I think it looks like the Indian side has focused much more on border and bilateral. And therefore, I think we will see mention in Tianjin declaration of issue of terrorism without naming Pakistan. And in return, I think President Xi Jinping is trying to create SCO as anchor for global stability and present it as an alternative under the leadership of China. So his language was India-China being ancient civilizations and we need to work together to ensure global stability, whereas Indian Prime Minister was focusing on trust being the source of border management, terrorism being our bilateral problem, and we need to work together to solve it. So that kind of give and take, I think, is already visible, and we will see terrorism definitely mentioned in Tianjin declaration. But it, as I said, will not mention Pakistan. It will not maybe spend several paragraphs. As sometimes earlier SCO summit meetings have addressed terrorism in a greater detail. This may not see as much detail this time.
Right.
But I think the whole focus that the host country has is to project SCO as an alternative kind of platform for ensuring global stability, because all 14 dialogue partners and 10 members are facing Trump's tariffs, whether it is Iran, Kazakhstan, India, Russia. So they all have this common concern about global stability in terms of sort of
Sure.
international trade. China is world's largest trading country. So they are, as a host, trying to push it in that direction.